Welcome you back. Thank you for staying with us. This is newspaper headlines and analysis. I'm Oluwayemi Adelakun. This one, let's start from Daily Independent. I have a banner headline that says foreign inflows steady Naira mid-week domestic FX supply. Moving away from that, I also have this one that says pardon list. Tinubu drops convict of kidnapping, drugs, arms and others. We spoke about that just this morning, that when people complain bitterly about the names of people that were pardoned, and the president has decided to say, okay, let us review the names. And then I read the reports this morning that said some persons have been taken out of the list. Away from that headline, I also have this one that says, Silva not part of coup, says hate, confirms a military raid on Ulm. The former Minister of Petroleum under President Muhammadu Buhari, the former president, his house in Abuja was raided a few days ago. And of course, I also read a report that said even his Bayelsa house, there was also a raid, and then his brother has been arrested because, some monies have been actually linked to him, to say about 46 billion naira have been linked to the former Minister of Petroleum. And of course, I also read a story. I'm not privy to whether that story is true, to say that one of those that were arrested concerning this coup mentioned the name of Tinubu Silva, to say he's part of the coup and part of those that are planning to take over the government from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But one thing is certain, I do believe that the security operatives and even the army are on top of this matter. Don't also forget that a few days ago we read that the army even came out to say that, okay, this is an internal issue. It's really not a coup. So what do we believe now in this situation? Away from that headline, I also have this one that says, our salaries amputated before payment, NASU laments. That's a sad one to see that these people complain bitterly about salary now, that they are even complaining that their salaries have been amputated before they are paid. I do hope that the government can look into this properly. Let's cross over to Daily Sun this morning. I have this headline that says, alert coup plot, security agents spread dragnet and fears. And that headline asks these writers, how DLA, NFRU, EFCC tracked uncovered ex-governor Silva's transactions. Just like I mentioned that Tinubu Silva, the former Minister of Petroleum under President Muhammadu Buhari, a lot has been said concerning him. And then there's a report that he's currently not in the country. But his aide recently came out to say, okay, my boss is in the UK for medical checkup alongside his wife. And so there's nothing about coup concerning him. This is just done by some persons who would not like him. According to the aide, this is more political and, of course, cannot hold water. But then time will tell whether he's connected to the coup plot or not. Away from that headline, let's also check this one that says Tinubu bows to pressure, reviews pardon list, excludes convict of murder, drug kidnapping, human trafficking, tightens criteria for future exercises. I think this is a very brilliant one to see that the president actually listens to the people, because about a week now, people complain bitterly across all social media platforms that why should drug barons be pardoned? Why should someone who committed murder be pardoned? But then I think the list will be reviewed now and then some names taken out. Let's cross over to the Guardian newspaper. I have a headline that says, service chiefs unveil ambitious plans at Senate confirmation. I think it's a good one because the president recently sent the names of the new service chiefs to the Senate to confirm the names. And I do hope that in time we'll get to know how far they've gone on that. Away from that, I also have this headline that says that federal government backtracks and pardon as Nigerians question due process. I think this particular headline is making waves across all media outlets this morning. Away from that, I also have this one that says reps approve Tinubu's $2.34 billion loan, empower EFCC to seize asset without conviction. Don't forget that a few days ago, almost a week now, the EFCC came out to say we've been able to recover over 500 billion naira, from the people that we have probed. I think that's a good development. But now the reps have decided to approve a new loan, fresh loan of $2.34 billion. Really? Is that not too much? Don't forget that some persons complained, even members of the reps recently came out to say that why do we keep borrowing and then it's difficult for us to see what we are using this money for. But then the president will always say that, hold your governors accountable. They have more money in their coffers. If at all, we cannot even see some other areas where the president, is spending this money. We know that, he has increased the revenue of the state governors. So it's time to hold your governors accountable, not just your governors us now your local government chairman as well to see what they are doing with the money they're receiving from the federal government, because 2.34 billion naira loan is a lot, really. Away from that, let's also cross over to the Vanguard newspaper. I have this headline that says, power supply, Nigeria cement sign phase 1 power deal. Away from that, I also have this one that says, why we are backing Soludo's re-election. That's coming from Onisha resident. The Anambra election is set to hold November 8th. That's next month. And then this is the first election that the new INEC chairman will handle. And so there are a lot of expectations to see how are you going to handle this election. The way you handle this election will give us the insight of how you handle the 2027 general elections. Well, there's still a debate on that, whether we are going to have the election next year, 2026, because the Senate, dropped a proposition to say that can we have elections in 2026, November to be precise, rather than the normal March, February, because according to the Senate, they want to make sure that we are done with all court cases, before the new administrations, because over time in Nigeria, we've seen cases whereby court cases were dragged for years. In 2007, there was a court case, with Peter Obi, the former governor of Anambra State, this same Anambra, and of course, there was also a case with Amechi, and it dragged on for years. We've seen cases whereby court cases dragged on for 2 years. So the Senate is trying to boycott this to see a way whereby, court cases will not linger into the new administration. How effective can that be? All right, we'll look out for how the Anambra election will play out. I do hope that the best candidate will win in that state. And of course, this is to the electorate. Come out and vote. You have no excuse when you do not vote. Okay, away from that headline, I also have this one that says, how to fix Nigeria's security challenges. That's coming from service chiefs. I think the new service chiefs, they have a lot of responsibility because some were asked to stay back, they were sacked, and don't forget they were actually rewarded, with Prado jeeps and some cash. And of course, the cars are supposed to be changed every 4 years. That's a good one. But then the new ones, you have a lot of responsibility. You have to make it up to Nigerians and do your best to make sure that the country is safe for everyone. Away from that headline, I also have this one that says, Tinubu excludes convict of kidnapping, drugs, firearms offences from clemency list. Okay, let's cross over to today's day. I have this headline that says, NNPC shops for equity partners to high-grade its comatose refineries. I think maybe NNPC is now trying to say that, okay, if Dangote can do it, we can also come up with something. Don't forget, there was a time that a lot of persons said, okay, maybe let's just sell off our refineries and use the money for something better. But then the NNPC is on the matter now to say maybe there's a way to bring back our refineries, from the state of comatose. But it would take a lot of political will to make that happen, because these refineries, we've pumped a lot of money, billions of naira, and still yet we are not seeing any result from the refineries. But Dangote is doing a lot. Recently, he's trying to say that I want to increase, what I produce per day. I mean, to millions. It is a lot. And of course, we appreciate him for what he's doing. Maybe Dangote, in one way or the other, is influencing the NNPC. And of course, making sure that they also find a way to improve the quality of our refineries as well. Away from that headline, I also have this one that says, new service chiefs get Senate confirmation, vow reforms to tackle insecurity, boost troops welfare. It's a good one. And of course, we expect, development from the new service chiefs. They need to do better than those that left, because, I mean, if they cannot, then it's counterproductive. We begin to wonder why the former service chiefs were sacked in the first place. Away from this morning, let's cross over to Daily Trust. I have this headline that says, National Assembly okays Tinubu's request to borrow $2.35 billion. I've talked about that already. Though Nigerians are still complaining that why is the president, borrowing that huge amount of money. Away from that headline, I also have this one that says, Kano confirms 4 new variants of poliovirus. Bank credit to private sector drops by 6 trillion naira in 4 months. What is going on? Maybe, I don't want to say, even banks are broke at this point, because the economy is dangling and there's a lot to tackle. But away from that headline, let's also cross over to another headline that says, federal government withdraws pardon for Miriam Sanda drug dealers. Honestly, on this particular headline, I was a bit shocked to say that when the news came out that Miriam Sanda, she's part of the list of those that the president pardoned. Initially, the father of Miriam Sanda came out to say that, no, this is unacceptable. Or not the father now. some members of the family came out to say that this is unacceptable. But later, the father came out to say, oh, I spoke to the president on behalf of Miriam Sanda that she should be pardoned. But then, at this point, I read the reports this morning that said she served 6 years and 8 months, and of course she will serve 6 more years. That's 12 years altogether. And then this is done because they feel she needs to cater to the welfare of her children. Maybe it's a good one, in as much as the family of the husband are cool with this. I think there's no more discussion on that note. Let's cross over from Daily Trust this morning. Okay, I have this headline on Daily Trust that says, alleged Christian genocide, U.S. lawmakers relying on faulty data. That's coming from the federal government. Who do we believe at this point? But if you're a Nigerian, I'm sure you're familiar with the news. You know what is happening, what has happened over time. Because the federal government is saying the U.S. has no right whatsoever to say that the Christians are being killed. And the federal government is saying the data that they have is not accurate. The U.S. is saying, oh, we have been able to gather some data to see that a lot of Christians are being killed over the years. Who do we believe in this situation? But you as a Nigerian, I'm sure you know the answer to that. But then speaking about killings of people, I don't think is subject to the Christians alone. We've seen cases whereby Muslims were being killed too. Insecurity, I don't think is about one religion at this point in time. It's something we need to tackle. We need to look at it and look for how to better the lives of the people and ensure that Nigerians are safe in their own country. Away from that headline, I also have this one that says, Shatima to ACF, don't allow mischief makers divide Nigeria. I don't think it's something we want to adopt at this point in time. We are better united than divided. Let's cross over from Daily Trust this morning to the Nation newspaper. I have this headline that says, 2027 Southwest Governors Leaders Rally by Tinubu. Ministers give scorecards at confab. At this point in time, I don't think it's even about Southwest governors alone. A lot of governors across the regions have thrown their weight behind President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to say that we are supporting him. Don't forget, we have about 26 governors in the APC as we speak, and we don't know what can happen in the next few weeks or months. Maybe some other governors will defect to the APC as well. So it's a lot. But then people will always say that, regardless of the governors that you have in your party, it doesn't guarantee a win for you, because there was a time that the PDP, had, close to this number, as governors, and then former President Goodluck Jonathan lost the election. So it's not about having governors, in your party. It's about whether those governors can produce numbers for you during the general elections. Away from that, I also have this one that says 55 persons removed from presidential pardon list, only 120 enjoy prerogative of mercy. I think it's a good one coming from the presidential office, saying that about 55 persons have been removed from the pardon list. But then the 120 that are still remaining, I'm sure that Nigerians will still complain about some persons to say, okay, this person, you need to remove them. But I think it's a good one that the president listened to Nigerians to say that we need to take out some names. Away from the Nation this morning, let's cross over to Nigerian Tribune. I have a headline that says, we have received threat from terrorists to bomb NAS, Reps Committee Chairman. It's a sad one. If institutions like that are not safe, what happens to a commoner on the street? What happens to an average Nigerian on the street? Because if these terrorists are sending threat to the National Assembly to say we are going to bomb your building, I mean, what do we make of that? But one thing is very important. We need to be very proactive. Let's not say, okay, they do not have the capacity to bomb the National Assembly. I just hope that the necessary security operatives are on guard to guard that place, and even each of the senators as well, because we do not want a situation whereby the National Assembly, something will happen to it. We will need to be safe in this country. So honestly, if this can happen to the National Assembly, just like I said, what can we say about everyday Nigerian? It's something we need to look at. And of course, if care is not taken, I don't want to preempt. I don't want to say something that is not so good, because this is Nigeria, and I believe that we are going to get it right when it comes to the issue of insecurity. Away from that headline, I also have this one that says, Anambra election, violence will be met with strong, uncompromising response. That's coming from NSA. That's NSA new report. We've seen anyone who's trying to sabotage this election, we have to face the law squarely. I think it's a good one. And riders are saying, please to deploy 45,000 officers Amukwito justifies extension of collection of PVC. Because of the election, I think the collection of PVC has been extended so that people can collect their PVC and they're allowed to vote on the election day. And apart from that, police has deployed 45,000 officers. I think it's a good one. But apart from this, I just want to hope that we can curb vote buying to the barest minimum, because this is one thing that is always sabotaging elections in our country. Away from that headline, I also have this one that says, growing concern over CBN's bid to control Nigeria's fixed income market. Away from that headline, I also have this one that says, scientists turn flower fragrance into mosquito killer. One thing about this country is that we are very creative, and of course, this is a good one. Away from that, U.S. revokes Soyinka's visa. We spoke about this yesterday to say that the Nobel laureate, Professor Wole Soyinka, came out publicly to say that my visa has been revoked, and then the United States Embassy has not said anything on this matter. Don't forget that Professor destroyed his green card in 2016. And then he also mentioned that if Trump should win that election in 2016, he said, I'm going to destroy my green card. And shortly after, he was interviewed and he said, I destroyed it. And maybe it is connected to why visa was revoked, we cannot tell. But then recently, he's been in the news for about a month now because he was asked to show up for a re-interview. And Professor came out to say, this is trained. Why should I be summoned for a re-interview? So whether this is connected to his green card or because he didn't show up for the re-interview, we cannot tell yet until the United States Embassy comes out to say something about this. Okay, let's cross over to the Punch newspaper this morning, the final paper. I have the headline that says, Tinubu revokes pardon for Sanda, 140 high-profile image. We've talked about that extensively this morning. I also have this one that says, Senate screenings, CDS eyes foreign partnership to crush insurgency. I think it's a good one. Whatever it is we can do to tackle insecurity, I think we should actually, do that. I also have this one that says, coup controversy, military tracks 45 billion naira in NDDC. And that headline asks this rider, detained soldiers linked in NDDC top shot probe, Siva out of country, denies links with alleged coup. I spoke about this earlier, that about 45 billion naira was traced to the former Minister of Petroleum to say that it's part of the coup plot. Whether that is true or not, we are not sure yet. But I believe that the necessary sectors are on this matter to see that we get to the bottom of the matter. But currently, is out of the country, and there are reports that it fled to Senegal. We are not sure whether that is true or not, because it came out to say that, okay, my boss is currently in the UK alongside his wife. We get to know what is going on actually. We get to see more revelation on this coup plot that we saw in the news about a week now. Is a fine place to leave it this morning. Thank you for being a part of this segment. Do well to stay with us because big story will come up soon. My name is Odwayemi Adelakwan. I'm saying good morning.